What's going on, everybody? Episode starts in 30 seconds. What's going on, everybody? This episode is brought to you by Warrior Law. There's nothing worse than getting into a car accident, not being your fault, and yet the other insurance is going to try and sue you. That's what happened to me in 2021 when I was living in Florida. A guy fell asleep at the wheel, crossed the lane, and hit me almost head on. And then, yet, his insurance was trying to sue me. So what do? You hire a lawyer. Best lawyer in town, best lawyer in South Florida, Warrior Law. Hit my buddy up. All right, Kevin Guerrero at Warrior Law. All his information will be in the description. All right. Do not fight the insurance companies alone. You need somebody to back you up. Okay. My next guest, man, this guy has at least 60 credits to his name. And that's not including the stuff that's coming up. That's not including the project that's in the works or about to come out. Okay. He co-starred in Stalker and Stalker Part 2. Those are great thriller films. They're only about an hour long, but man, they were very impactful, very, very great roles. Two great films. He's also co-starred as a Power Ranger in both live action and voice acting. So let's bring him on. Jimmy Ace Lewis. So Jimmy, thank you for being on, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Man, man, I've been looking forward to this for a while. Ever since you and I clicked. Before we get started, man, let's hear about you, man. Let's talk about your background. Let's hear about your background. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And all that stuff.
Sure. So originally, I'm from a small town in upstate New York. I was born in a town called Binghamton, the same place that Rod Serling is from, of Twilight Zone fame. And I lived in an even smaller town called Harpersville. And I think when I was around 8 or 9 or so, we ended up moving to South Carolina. While I was in New York, I was doing church plays and things like that, really falling in love with the craft of acting, really falling in love with just playing characters and things like that. When I moved to Somerville, I started doing some more community theater and things like that. And then I think when I was around, I want to say around 10 or 11 or so, I kind of discovered film, and I realized, man, I really, really like working on camera. I like it even more than theater. Like, this is fun. I mean, I can go back and watch my performances and share with people that weren't there. That's cool. Excuse me. And then from there, I ended up getting an agent, and I ended up booking just like a bunch of cool different gigs at commercials and things like that, and going out for a bunch of different shows and movies, and just having a blast doing TV. I've been fortunate enough that God's blessed me with some cool roles. Gotten to work on different shows for like CBS and Disney Plus and Oxygen and Peacock, and some of the Power Ranger stuff that I've gotten to do was really fun. That's all independently made, those ones, and just a lot of really cool stuff. And South Carolina was great. And for the past, I want to say 8 years or so, I've been in Atlanta. I'm just outside of Atlanta. It's a really, really awesome film central. I mean, right now there's more productions being shot in Atlanta than anywhere else in the world, which is just so cool. And there's so many opportunities for those in the Southeast. I suppose that's me in a nutshell. Sorry if that wasn't too brief.
No, that's great. Wow, but you gave me something I did not know. I know Atlanta is becoming a place where a lot of film is being made, especially with Tyler Perry being out from there and all that. But I did not know it was as big as what you just said. Wow, that's good to know. That's interesting. And you mentioned Christ, and I know you and I have gone back and forth for a couple months now. You and I have been
Yeah.
texting back and forth, and I know you're a church, you're a Christian. Tell me about your Christian journey, man. I love that. I'm a Christian myself. I love hearing about people's faith. When did you become a Christian?
Yeah, no, I love this question. This is actually one of my favorite questions I've ever gotten on an interview. So, my walk with Christ is the most important thing to me. More important than career,
Amen.
more important than anything. And so, I started as I think I was about 3 or 4 years old when I got saved. My whole family is Christian, and even my great grandfather was a preacher at a holiness church, and his son, my grandfather, he led worship there, played guitar. He gave me his old guitar that he used to play worship with, which is a 1940s Gibson.
Oh
Just
my
played it for me a
God.
lot when I was a kid. Just really, uh, in other words, my whole life has kind of revolved around God, going to church, things like that from an early age. And then I think when I feel like for a lot of kids that grew up in the church, at least for me, you start off, you're a Christian from an early age. I feel like when you get to be a teenager, young adult, you kind of have to, I don't want to say get saved again, but you kind of have to or a lot of people kind of decide like, hey, I really want to stick with this. This is the life for me. I find my peace and my joy and everything in Christ. And, you know, he calms the storms of my life. And it was really, I think, when I was about 15 or 16, I started taking my salvation even more serious. I was at a youth conference, and that really helped shape me to be the man that I am today, spiritually, for sure. But now,
That's
right
awesome.
now, I attend church all.
Yeah, and that age that you said, 15, that's probably when you started to say, you know what? That's when you started understanding more what a relationship with Christ is. That is a pivotal age where you can either deviate from it or make it stronger. Um,
Right.
when did you get baptized?
Oh, this is a fun story. So I got baptized. I was probably around 16 or so. And so I got baptized when I was living in Charleston, South Carolina. So the cool part about that was I got baptized in the ocean. See, I got like the ocean waves crashing on me when I'm getting baptized. Almost got blown back to the shore, but I was okay. I came back up. I came back up a new man. But yeah, almost got blown back to the shore with that. But it was so cool getting to because the church I was attending at the time, it's a church called North Palm. We did a lot of cool stuff like that, and I just remember getting baptized in the ocean, and people still think that's pretty neat. And yeah, it was fun.
That is cool when you live near the ocean. So when I'm originally from Florida, our old church,
Nice.
which is where my daughter works at, she's a production director there. They do beach baptisms all the time. They do. That's what we do. That's what we did beach baptisms. Now that I live in the Dallas area, we have to pull out the round pool,
Yeah,
or
like the
not
big
pool,
tubs or like
the big tub, and then we
yeah.
got we have baptisms this upcoming Sunday. But that's
Mm.
cool. Yeah, beach baptism is something special. It's different. The ocean, people, it's I don't know, almost more spiritual because it's in God's in God's country. Um,
Mm.
where do you go to church now?
So I go to a church called Victory. It's a really good church, just very good spirit-filled church, a lot of really nice people. I always say when it comes to finding a church, because since I lived in Atlanta, I'd kind of bounced around a few different churches, and for the past almost 2 years now, I've definitely found my home there. I always say it takes a few things for me to really fall in love with the church. It's, the people, it's the worship, and it's the message. And I love it when a church has all three of those that are just on point. And I couldn't be happier. I do attend some church services. I go to some young adult groups throughout the week at different churches, but definitely Victory is my home church for sure.
Cool, man. That's awesome. And before we get into your career, just a couple more questions about what's your favorite Bible verse?
Oh man,
I know it's probably a few, but
yeah, yeah. There's a few. Man, I wish I had one prepared. let me think about that, and we'll come back to that. If that's all right.
Yeah, of course. What about your favorite book of the Bible?
Ooh,
Or your
this is a
favorite
good one.
character?
So I
Or your
think
favorite character other than Jesus? Your
other
favorite
than
character
Jesus,
other
right,
than
right. Well,
Jesus?
I feel like I think David. I had someone told me before. They told me they're like, I see David in you, and I didn't really know what they meant by that. And they kind of explained it, and they were like, well, David was an artist, and David also took on Goliath, and they said you being a Christian in the film industry, it's like you against Goliath. I mean, there's a lot of obviously non-Christian stuff in Hollywood and in just the whole filmmaking world in general. And so that I think in some ways I resonate with David a little bit. Um, I would say David, and then favorite book. I love Psalms and Proverbs. Right now, my church is we're doing a study in Revelation, which is not always an easy one to get through, but there's so many interesting things to that book. So that's definitely one that's up there for. I'm sorry, I do have a favorite verse, Philippians 4:13, for I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
why I blinked on that
No,
earlier.
it usually throws people. And yeah, we usually know, especially if we've grown, the next amount of years at a church, and we read the Bible, and when you're on the spot, great. Thanks, JC, for
Yeah,
not giving me the heads up on. And I should have asked. I should have said that to you.
that's
Hey,
right.
how
No,
Bible verse
you're
for me?
fine, man. I should have been prepared with that. That's a good.
um,
I'm gonna make sure I'm prepared to have a verse. That's actually a good way to check myself.
and now you mentioned that about David. And now jump into your career. How is it being a Christian in this industry that you're in? How
Oh
is it?
man,
Is it difficult for some people? Say, oh, no, not really. But how? If people know you're a Christian, how difficult is it? Or is it
it's
not
that's a very
really?
good question.
Yeah,
No, it's a very good question. It does it varies from person to person. I've had talks with different people that they don't know I'm a Christian when we start the shoot and we're working together and they really like me, and then they find out that I'm a Christian through one way or the other. And they're like, "Whoa, you're a Christian? But I thought all Christians were this way or that way or really judgy, or they kind of have this thing in mind. Maybe they had some church hurt, maybe they went through something when they were younger. I don't know, but sometimes that comes that way. And if they already like me, then I've got my in, right? But otherwise, there's been times where people I could tell weren't super enthused when they found out that I was a Christian right off the bat. Um, there's times when people don't care. There's times when people I think one of the better examples of me sharing my faith with someone on a set was I was driving somewhere with somebody, and I'd been talking to him for years, good friend of mine, and he wasn't a Christian when we started working together. And towards the end of it, because it was a project that had other sequels and stuff, and towards the end of it, he had told me, he said, "Hey man, I just want to tell you something." I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" He goes, "Well, I became a Christian recently, and he said I've been going to church, and I was so happy for him. I was like, man, that made me happier than hearing if he got some big job or anything. Like
of
to find
course.
that, and just to see his face, he was so much happier. He was so much more at peace. I could just tell that the love of Christ was in him, and he was exhibiting the love of Christ everywhere he went. And so that's cool. And then as an actor, though, being a Christian, it can be difficult because there's a lot of jobs that I have to say no to because there's certain content that I just look at and I say, I just can't be a part of that. I just can't promote that. I just don't feel comfortable. And I'll pray about it. I'm like, God, if this is something that doesn't honor you and is doing the opposite, let me know. And I've said no to jobs. And then as soon as I'm telling you, man, one door shuts, he will always open another door. So I don't live, yeah, I don't live with any kind of anxiety about, oh man, I'm going to lose so much work or anything because I know God's got me. You know what I mean?
I love that. I mean, you answered a question that I had prepared for you. Also, that was one of my questions. I'm dead serious. I was asking, have you? Would my question was going to be? I have someone down here. Would you ever would you ever turn down a role, or have you ever turned down a role, and why? And you just answer it. I love it, and sometimes, yeah, we have to say no to certain things. We have to say
Right.
no to certain people.
That's right.
Unfortunately, now, the other question is: have you ever been turned away from a job because of Christianity? Which
Ooh,
they technically can't say it's
right.
because of that, but do you feel it may have been because of that, or have you ever been turned away because of that?
That's a very interesting question, and I feel like I've never been told, "Hey, you're a Christian. I'm not going to hire you." But I feel like that might have been a case a time or two, you know. And if
Mhm.
that was the case, I don't want to work with those people, you know,
Of course not. Of course not.
because you know, I would just wouldn't have been a good fit if they didn't want to hire me because of that, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so when exactly did you start your acting career? You said you started in commercials. When did
But
you
yeah,
start?
really,
When?
really,
Uh-huh.
I started when I was really little. I was doing like church plays and stuff. I did my first one when I was, I think, about 3 or so.
Wow.
And I remember one of the early ones. I don't actually remember this one, but my mom was doing some kind of church stage play, and I don't know if she was in like a marketplace or what, but she needed someone to play her son. So this was like my gateway into it. So I was like 3, 4, something like that. And so that kind of was just something, you do for fun, and it kind of just blossoms from there into community theater and whatnot. So definitely, I started off doing theater and stage work, and I soon realized that I like film and TV a lot more.
Bit more exposure that way, right?
What was that? I'm
Uh,
sorry.
huh?
I think you cut off there.
That you get more exposure that way on TV and
Yeah, you
film.
do. Yeah, and I think I fell in love with it as an art form too, being able to go back and because when you do a play, you got to memorize the whole thing, right? When you shoot a movie, you usually shoot it out of order. So I might be shooting my character's death scene on the first day, or you know what I mean. So I can work out of order, which can be a little confusing at times. You kind of get used to it, but I would say I like it because I get to get it right. I might
Mhm.
have 5 takes to get it right, 10 takes. Some people want 20. That's not the most fun, but it's great getting to get it right. And when you can feel it when it's like, yeah, that's the one, So I do like film and TV for that as well. And like you said, it's a bigger reach. If it goes on streaming or YouTube or whatever, more people can see it and I can share it with more people, which is always cool.
Do you enjoy watching some when do you go back? Well, you say you did, but do you how much do you enjoy yourself watching yourself on back on one of your or one of your TV
Mhm.
shows that or an episode that you've been on?
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's cool because it's like it's such a weird, unique thing to get to like go back and watch a day of your life that you worked on something. But I don't do it every day. But when I feel nostalgic or something pops up that I shot, however many years ago, I always like to it for me it's the memories. I'm of course proud of my work, but it's going back and seeing the people that I worked with and the memories of seeing them and what happened on set that day and it's weird because there's so much that isn't in the movie that happened behind the scenes or when the cameras weren't rolling or there's so much of the memory that isn't even attached to the film itself. It's just the people that were there and what we were doing and talking about and it's I do revisit every now and then though. I feel like you kind of have to.
That's cool. What who have been your biggest influences in the industry? Who have been your top influences?
As in people I worked with, or just people that I'm like a fan of their work.
Overall, yeah,
Yeah,
well, who I know you got into the industry because starting up, but where did you say, man, I really want to be like this guy, or yeah, who have been your people, yeah, you
yeah,
worked with maybe, and people that you watch
sure.
that you look up to,
Yeah,
both.
yeah. There's a few. Wow, there's quite a lot of people that I've admired as actors. I mean, Johnny Depp's one of my favorites because he can just disappear into any and every role. A lot of young actors idolize James Dean at different points in their career. I think Heath Ledger was absolutely brilliant, especially you watch him as the Joker, and you're just so
Mm,
drawn to what he's doing, everything he's saying. I love actors that add stuff to, like, if you watch the movie, you know that it would not be the same without them. Those are
yeah.
definitely my favorite kind of actors because they bring so much to the performance. In terms of actors that I've worked with that have had just a big impact on me personally, or have influenced my way in some regard. One of them would be, for different reasons. Um, Obviously, you interviewed Troy. He was Troy Froman from Saved by the Bell. He was in the Stalker. Very, very funny guy. We got along really well. He showed me a lot of his old movies, and just a really funny guy. So he's taught me a lot. Another guy was the guy that
So,
played the Stalker in Stalker Part One.
sorry. Did you
No,
watch
no, you're good.
Shrunken Heads? Did you watch Shrunken Heads?
I did, yeah. Pumpkin Hedge, Kung Fu
that was
Rascals, all
that was hilarious.
yeah, yeah. Troy's a riot, man. He's a funny guy. And
Yes.
so Troy, and then the guy that played the Stalker in Stalker Part One, I knew him for a long time. His name was Matthew Ewald. When I was a kid, I had his action figure. Well, actually, I had we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, so I didn't get his figure, but I got like the McDonald's version
Oh,
that my mom got online. And so I was like, dude, I played with you as a kid. And he's like, oh, that's all right, man. And really nice guy. I met him at an audition back in 2015, and then I worked with him. He was in Point Man, more than I was. I had a few lines in that movie, but then I stayed in touch with him, and he taught me so much. Like, he was doing a lot of indie films at the time, and he just taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about just being grateful for every opportunity, and he just really had a very positive influence on my life in terms of how he treats people and how he just
mm.
is willing to help out on the set with anything. And the guy that played the dad in the Stalker films, Chad, he's a very good friend of mine. He definitely had a big impact on me. Again, I love working with people that have that are further down the road than I am, because then I can learn from them, I can talk to them, and they've given me so much valuable advice. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What's been your favorite role?
Ooh, this is a good one. I like this question. Um, so I would say, doing the Stalker films, those meant a lot to me because my mom and I wrote and produced those, and I made props for those movies and casted people. Like, that had a lot of sentimental value to it. I would say though, probably playing this guy, the Black Ranger. It's crazy, actually. This is a piece of fan art that someone sent me. They literally had this custom made because they just loved what I did so much. And this is,
Wow.
fan produced Power Rangers Legacy on YouTube. Part two is coming out soon. But no, I got to wear this helmet, and it was really cool. And it's a custom helmet, and so this was really cool. It's just like, so, if you have claustrophobia, you might not want to put one of these on, but it was really fun. That's been one of my favorite roles just because of that. And then the audio drama I do at Power Rangers has a lot of people that reach out to me as well, and they say, "Oh man, dude, I love that series so much." And you don't know, I mean, that really, like, it really touched me, or like that show just had a big impact on me. And it's so great hearing that something I did lets people escape the world, I guess. But I would say probably my favorite role ever is one I'm going to be shooting in December, which is the adaptation of my book, Enter the Power Surge, which if anyone wants, they can get it on Amazon. But this is a young adult superhero sci-fi story. And yeah, I'm doing it as a book series. Part one is out, and I'm gonna be directing and starring in the film version of it. Gonna be shooting in December, and I think this is gonna be my favorite role, maybe ever.
Wow. So okay, so
Yeah.
another question I had down the line, which was any
Uh-oh.
directing, no, that's good. That's good. So I guess you are going to be directing. Okay, I was going to ask, do
I
you
am.
have you done any directing, or are you going to be doing any directing in the future? And apparently you have, or you are,
Yeah,
and that's awesome. That's awesome. Um,
thank you.
So looking forward to that, and you gotta send me the link to the
Yeah, man,
Amazon, so I could
will do.
so I could share it on the description and um here on the YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely, brother.
and you mentioned the Stalker films. I enjoyed both. Great films.
Thank you.
And you left it with you're left with wanting more because the film is not long. They're only an hour
Right.
long.
Yeah.
They're each just literally an hour long. Um,
Yeah.
and I was talking to Troy. Obviously, I had him on, and he mentioned there might be a part three. Is that in the works,
Yeah.
or that still is that just a rumor that's been floating around? It's just not set in stone. What's the story with that?
Yeah, so Stalker 3 is something that, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
If enough people ask for it and want us to do it, and if there's a want and a need for it, then that's something that we would definitely explore, and we would have Troy back, and we'd get the whole gang back together. Some of the people from the Stalker movies will be in the next film, but yeah, I think, it would be lovely to do it as a trilogy. I agree with Troy there. That would be very cool. So I
Yeah, that
never
would
say
be
never.
cool.
You know, Goonies never say die. So we'll see.
Well, you got a fan here that wants it, so you definitely
All right.
got.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you guys have not seen Stalker 2, please watch it. That I'm going to be sharing that the links for both those there as well, and start
Yeah.
requesting part 3 so they can start working on it. Um, the well, what did you ever watch Troy on Saved by the Bell? Did you ever watch any of his episodes on Saved by the Bell
Oh
as
yeah.
Ox?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Here's what's funny. I got on the set. I got Troy to sign a bunch of Saved by the Bell stuff. I'm like a 2000s and early 2010 kid, so Saved by the Bell was on in reruns all the time. Still is. So I watched it as a kid. I know they had it on TBS. When I got into Saved by the Bell, I know my family was living in after we left New York, we were living in a motel at the time for several months. And we we got I think it was TBS or whatever network it was on. I would watch Saved by the Bell. Like they would show like I don't know 5 episodes in a row or whatever constantly. So then I went to rewatch it. I do often, but I went to rewatch it and I was like, man, this guy's pretty funny. I wonder what he's up to. Oh, his name's Troy Froman. Cool. So I sent Troy a friends request on Facebook, and we had been friends for I don't know maybe 6 months, a year, or whatever. And I had posted about we were doing the Stalker film, and he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, you got a role for me?" I was like, "Really? You want to be in the movie?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, let me talk to my mom about this." And he's in the movie, and he's great in it. And he has an even bigger part in the second one. So if anyone out there is watching that likes Saved by the Bell and wants to see the Ox, give it a watch. There's a couple little Easter eggs we threw in there too.
Yeah, he told me about that, and he explained to me which I've heard the term Easter egg,
Mm,
and he explained to me what Easter egg was, and which I said,
yeah.
wow, I never knew what Easter egg was, and now I hear it
Mm,
more and more, and then whenever somebody mentions it about certain TV show or something, I have to go back
yeah.
and I have to watch it, um, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because when I had him on, he asked me about being a Christian. I go, well, you're a Christian, you like horror films? Absolutely, I do. I just because I'm a
Yeah.
Christian does not mean. Listen,
Mm,
I don't. Be a Christian is that I'm a follower of Christ. I love Christ.
right.
Christ is number one in my life. Being a
Hmm.
Christian is that I don't worship or I don't idolize anybody other than Christ. Yeah, there's
Right.
certain films I will not watch, but I absolutely love a good like stalker flick or good a nice little horror flick, that they'll give you a little
Right. Right.
scare. There's no and I find nothing
Exactly.
wrong with that. So yeah.
Sure. Sure. And when we made the films, because my mom and I are obviously we're a Christian family, and when we make all of our films, we never have any kind of nudity, cursing, sex, drugs, any of that. We can tell a story without that stuff. you know, and there's not enough media out there that it's family friendly. Honestly, it might be a horror thriller film, but it's family friendly for the most part. I mean, there's some violence, but it's free of a
Yeah,
lot of the
yeah.
stuff that you get from Hollywood.
Right, right, right. And which, by the way, even bringing you on, I guess I did not pay attention. I did not know that this Stalker films were until you just mentioned it earlier that that was by you and your mom. I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I had no
No,
idea
that's
you guys were
fine.
the creators.
It's fun. It really is. When my mom was younger, she unfortunately had a couple of stalkers. So me working in film and TV and stuff,
Wow.
and obviously doing acting and stuff, she had kind of like she's a very creative person. When I was a kid, she used to paint a lot, and she's always been very artistic. And so she wanted to tell a story. She had this idea. Originally, The Stalker was going to be called a movie. It was going to be called The Package, and so it evolved into The Stalker because it just flowed better and stuff. And because I don't know. I mean, for those that've seen it, in the second film, they get a package from the Stalker in the second film. Not giving anything away, but that was actually an idea we had for the first film, and so that was going to be called The Package. But then we decided, yeah, the Stalker just more marketable, kind of lets you know what it is a little better. Um, but yeah, no, we definitely we wrote those things, produced them, shadow directed them a bit, had a lot of fun. Just, I mean, every prop you see in that movie is something that I made or my mom made. Because when you do indie films, there's a lot of people that work on it, but not nearly as much as the big studio films. So I mean, I love a good indie film because when you can make an indie film for on a budget, it's just my hats off to anyone that can do that because it's not easy making a movie, but especially when you make it well. That's but no, thank you for watching those.
Absolutely, man. I've been support. I said in my last episode where I had Christian Royal Jones, who is also an indie filmmaker, producer, director. I don't know if you've seen Phil Herman. He's another independent horror guy. Check out his stuff,
The
man.
name's
His stuff
familiar.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you
I'll
his.
write it down.
I'll send you his
Yeah,
info. Um,
please do.
he's a buddy. He's become a buddy of mine as well.
Mm,
He's working on they just started filming for Jacker 3.
mm.
The first film was in the early 90s. Part 2 came
Oh
in the mid
wow,
90s, and now 30 years later they're doing part 3, and most of the cast is back. And
that's cool.
I had most of them on. I had most of them on the episode. Where I invited him. Say, man, can I bring everybody? Can I bring
Yeah,
some of the people from the cast on? I go, man, absolutely, man. He goes, it's gonna be crazy, but it's gonna be
nice.
fun. And man, it was fun. But anyways,
That's
but
awesome.
but I love indie films. I become a fan of indie films.
Yeah,
Yeah, I become a fan of indie
absolutely,
films.
man.
It's the same way I support independent, small mom and pop diners. I
Yeah,
love mom and pop
yeah,
diners. I love mom and pop
same.
coffee shops. I love what they call B films. Um, you know,
Exactly. Yeah,
independent films. I love them because yeah, you guys put
same.
not knocking Hollywood. I'm not knocking Hollywood. Please, I'm not.
Right.
I watch Hollywood
Mm,
films as well. I just watched Beetlejuice Part Two,
sure.
but you guys
Mm,
put so much more. There's because you guys gotta stick to something, and you guys have to
yeah.
become a little bit more creative. You know,
Thank
because
you. Yeah, it's
you
true.
don't have millions and billions of dollars to spend.
Right.
So I my
That's
hat
true.
goes off to you guys. My hat goes off
Well,
to you
thank you,
guys.
man. That's very sweet of you to say that. And sometimes it feels at times it can feel like a thankless job, but you know what? People like you make it worth it when you're like, hey, man, I enjoyed that. I liked it. I saw the work you put into that, and that makes my day, brother. It really does. There's a crowbar from the movie that in the
Oh man,
first
I
one
was just.
I
Oh
get hit
wow.
with. I do that spit take where he hits me like
Yeah.
that. Took a few takes to get that just right. It really did because obviously he's not hitting me, right? So in
Right.
movie and TV world, it's all about the angles. So the crowbar was only ever about that close to my face, but we rehearsed it a bunch of times. So it came behind me. So I looked back, did that spit take, and it we finally got it. Um, But no, it's thanks again for saying that though about just being creative and having to make it work, and really appreciate that.
Of course, man. Of course, absolutely. How long did it take to make Stalker and Stalker 2? Now that I know that those are yours, how long did? I
Mhm.
know sometimes when you bring somebody in, they film and then they leave.
Mhm.
But how long did it take? How long were you guys? How long did it take you guys to film Stalker and Stalker 2?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So Stalker 1 was shot in 7 days. It
I
was
love it, man.
yeah, yeah, man. We did, I think, trying to think of how many pages per day that would have been. It was about 10 pages a day we did, and some people can't believe it when I tell them that, and I say, "Hey, man, we rolled up our sleeves, we went to work, and we came out with the what I would call a good product." And
Yeah,
it was 5 days, and then we had a little bit of a break, and we came back and did those last 2, so 7 days collectively. Stalker 2 was shot in 8 days. And then my next film, I think we're aiming for around maybe 10-ish. But yeah, 8 days for Stalker 2, 7 days for Stalker 1. And and it's funny because Hollywood, man, they'll take months on a movie. There's
yeah.
some sets where you might film 1 or 2 scenes a day, and I'm just like, "Hmm." I feel like I would get, and I've done it where we've worked that slow on other people's sets. But I like working fast, man. I'm from New York. I like things going fast. I want to get in there and get the job done and do it. But everybody's different.
Yeah, okay. I mean, because the longer it takes, I guess, the more money it costs. I mean, I'm assuming this is just
Mhm.
my JC's theory.
Right, right, right. Well, you're
Uh,
right. You're right. It is because time is money, and
mhm.
especially if you're paying people, whether it's a flat rate or a day rate. Well, of course, a flat rate would be one lump sum, but a day rate, of course, everything just adds up. Then there's more meals, and more this and more that, and rentals, and everything kind of costs more the more you spend on it. So a lot of times, independent films have to move fast. I've noticed that the TV I've worked on has moved relatively fast as well. Um, so yeah, got to move fast. But hey,
I printed out your IMDb.
oh nice,
Uh, and I've seen that I saw you on Frankie Ruins Everything. I saw
oh
that
yeah,
short. I watched the
nice.
short. I see that you've been in quite a few shorts as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's I love the features. I love the shorts. It's kind of like, because it's a job for me, so not every job is going to be something that's a feature length or on streaming. Sometimes it's going to be a 10-minute short. Sometimes it's going to be a 20-minute short or a 5-minute short. But hey, man, if I like what the script is and I like the character and they're paying me, I'm gonna do it. But it's interesting because I think you obviously spend a lot more time doing these feature films
Oh, of course.
or television, and it's interesting doing the short because it feels so quick, where you're kind of like there, and you almost expect the experience to keep going, and then it's like, oh wait, we're already done. Oh man. But no, shorts can be fun too. They really can be. I just did a movie called Action Juice that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
how
I
much I can say about that or not. But
Yeah,
that's going to
I
be
was I
really
was gonna
fun.
ask you. I see here on the IMDb, yeah, 13
Yeah, yeah.
upcoming, 13 upcoming, and I was gonna
Mhm.
ask you if you could talk about
Sure,
either one of those.
sure. Yeah,
What
yeah.
what what are we expecting in your upcoming
Sure.
stuff besides the one that you say you're gonna start filming in December?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got quite a few upcoming projects that are either in post, which we're all done filming, or there's some that aren't even on the IMDb yet. Because altogether, I've done probably about 90 projects, but not all of them are
Whoa!
on IMDb. Because some of them, like IMDb, doesn't really have commercials, theater. There's some films that I've done that aren't on IMDb. I did a 1950s racing movie earlier this year about the
Really?
NASCAR in the 50s, and that's not even on IMDb yet, but it's called The Fabulous Flocks. Hopefully, they'll have an IMDb page soon, but that's in post. Hopefully, that's going to come out soon. I played a 50s NASCAR driver. It was really fun. I was driving like I can't remember what the car was, but it was from like 1954, 55. They had the actual NASCAR trophy there from the race that we were recreating.
What?
Yeah, it was so wild. They even had one of the original cars, I think it was. It was a trip, man. It was cool. So there's that one as far as an upcoming project. Um, I did a pilot. Uh, Actually, I was going to tell you a funny story about that, but I don't want to spoil the pilot. But I did a pilot called Siphon, and I don't know what I can or cannot say about it because I think they have to. That's not on IMDb yet either, but
Yeah.
I think with these pilots, they shop them around, they see who's interested, if someone buys it. What else have I done this year? I've done the Frankie Ruins Everything. That was a fun. That was a 2-day shoot. Um, Action Juice. I guess I can tell you about that one. That's pretty cool. Um, I don't know if I've told you about that yet or not in
No.
messages. So it's really cool. It's really good, really nice guy named Jake. He hired me to. Originally, I was going to play a supporting role in the film, and he had told me, he said, "Hey, man, I'm having a really tough time casting the lead," and I said, "Well, I'll read for the lead if Well, actually, he asked me to read for it, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'm happy to do it." So we shot that over the course of a couple weeks, and well, we had a week off, so you know, it was fun, and it was a marvelous experience. We're supposed to be premiering that. Last I heard was October in Atlanta. Then it's going to hit the festival circuit. And if anyone wants to see the trailer for it, if you go to the director's name is Jake Bon Jovi, and so if you go to his Instagram account, he's got the trailer for it on there. Actually, the first two things you'll see as of right now is the poster for Action Juice, which is my face, and then you'll see a trailer for Action Juice. So
Jake
I'm really
Bon
looking
Jovi.
forward to that one. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
What are some of your ultimate goals as an actor, film industry in general, or in
Mhm.
life also? What are your ultimate goals?
That's a very lovely question, and I have a lot of goals, but it's
That's good.
something that yeah, no, it's that's something that I pray about every day about my goals, and I write them down. Luckily, I've gotten to see a lot of these goals come to fruition that I've had in the past, and it's things like I want to tell great stories, and I want to tell stories about characters that people can relate to, and so I'm doing with Enter the Power Surge. That was a huge goal of mine for the past. And we shot Stalker 2 in 2021. Didn't come out till 2023. Had some post production things we had to work through. But right after we shot that movie, I was getting all these ideas for Enter the Power Surge. I was like, man, I really want to tell like a character driven superhero film. I want it to be like these people that are kind of struggling in life, and it even says a little something about human trafficking because the characters are being trafficked in the story for their abilities because they're like human weapons basically. At least that's how they see them, and they sell them that way, the bad guys. And so there's that. That was a huge goal of mine that by the grace of God, I'm going to make that a reality. And another goal, would honestly, just be to grow stronger in Christ, to make Christ's name known throughout the land as much as I can, and to let people know that maybe what they have in mind for Christianity isn't what they think it is. They might have something very negative in mind about Christianity. And if I can show them that, hey, you know what? I'm a Christian. I just want to love on you. I just want to talk to you. I just want to be your friend. You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely a goal. Obviously, there's fitness goals and things like that, and just keeping uh, progress to work with great people, to work with people that I admire, and to work with people that just love what they do, man. If they're passionate about what they do, that's the best. Because I've worked with people that they don't have any passion for what they're doing. They're doing it for the paycheck, and that's fine. We all gotta eat. We
Yeah,
all gotta put food on the table.
yeah.
But it's so great when you can work with people that actually like what they do and have passion for it. Those are the people that I love to work with.
Yeah, and now you mentioned who are people that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with one day?
Oh man, so many people. I mean, as far as directors go, I'd love to work with Sam Raimi. I'd love to work with DJ Caruso. I'd love to work with Steven Spielberg. Or I mean, there's so many people that as a director I look up to. But then there's also people actor wise. There's Johnny Depp. He's probably my all time favorite, man. He can disappear into a role. Anyone who's, of course, seen Pirates of the Caribbean or Benny and June is a great example. I mean, he's done so many
Yeah,
roles where he's just weird, and I love actors like that, man. I love to just pick his brain and talk to him for an hour, 2 hours, 10 minutes, whatever. Um, Other actors I like that I'd love to work with would be, gosh, there's so many. So many different talent, like Shia LaBeouf. I know he recently converted to Catholicism. I saw, so that'd be cool to talk to him about that. There's a lot though. There's a lot of people I'd like to work with.
I didn't know he turned into that's great. I mean, I was
Yeah.
raised Catholic. I was raised
Right.
Catholic.
Mhm.
That's I mean, so that's also he's turned into something. That he's looking to something. To
Yeah.
change his life. So that's awesome. That's good. I know
Right.
he went off the he fell off the
Yeah.
rails, and which happens to a lot of us.
True.
It can happen to all of us, not just in the film industry. It happens to regular folks, and that's what.
Yeah.
And many people forget that actors and singers and you guys are regular folks, just like you, just like me, and just like the
Yeah.
everyday Joe. We're all people. And
Exactly.
we can all fall. So so
Exactly,
I'm glad
man.
I'm glad he found something that he could
Yeah.
love and turn to God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What is your Mount Rushmore in the film industry? Doesn't matter whether it's director, producer, actor. Mount Rushmore, and this
I mean,
talking
what I
about
want to
all
be,
time.
what I
What
want to
is
be
your Mount?
known as. What's that?
No. What's your Mount Rushmore? What is your Mount Rushmore? Who are your four? I I've heard this question mostly in the wrestling industry.
Okay.
My Mount Rushmore for wrestling is Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, Undertaker, and I've been asking this question to a
Yeah,
lot of film industry, and they give me their
that's a great
takes.
question. I think like in terms of, I feel like it's a great question because I can look at it like if I have if I have to choose like four people or three or whatever, it's like whether I work with them or not, it's people that I look at and say, okay, for visual storytelling, directing, I really like Sam Raimi, so I would probably say Sam Raimi for that. For acting, I again probably the third time I brought him up, maybe Johnny Depp. Um, there's a few out there for sure. Just trying to think of storytelling, creativity, things like that. I mean, there's so many actors and people that I look up to. My Mount Rushmore would probably be pretty dang big, I'd say.
You've
But
had several Mount
several, yeah, several. Have to get a couple of them.
um anything else you want to add, man? Anything else you want to share? Actually, yeah. You know what? The something I did not ask you. Any interesting stories in
Ooh,
that from whether it's on set, during filming, during auditions, whether it's
so
to
many.
you,
But
whether it's with you or with somebody else. You don't have to mention names, of course, but
sure. I'll mention a couple real quick. I was doing a television pilot, and this is a kind of a funny one. So I'm doing a television pilot. My character gets killed probably 5 minutes into the show. So I didn't really. I usually try to read the whole thing, but I didn't have a lot of time, and I just gotten cast in it. So I did my scenes. I thought, well, guys, it was a real pleasure working with everyone. This is gonna be great. And they said, what do you mean we're gonna see you on Thursday? I said, I'm dead, right? Like we shot my scenes, and they said, no. The twist is your character is going to come back as a young Catholic priest that is the twin brother of the person that just died. And I thought, oh man, I felt really stupid. I was like, how did I miss this? I'm thumbing through the script, and then I was like, oh, duh, because I didn't, I don't know. That was kind of a funny one. Um,
what show was that for?
Well, I can't say what it's for just yet, just
Oh,
because I gave
okay,
away.
it's coming.
It
Okay,
yeah
okay. You
hasn't
just filmed it. Okay.
hasn't aired just yet.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I
Cool,
think
cool.
I think another thing was obviously, just interesting is, oh, sorry, working with these helmets on the Power Rangers fan film and stuff. I mean, it was so crazy working on that because, dude, it was, you feel like a toy, and you have to like move in a certain way when you're playing a Power Ranger. So I studied a lot of the movements, especially from the Japanese show, just how to work in that suit, right? So what's funny about that is it's not like when you're working in a normal acting job. Like if I'm doing a drama, I'm not saying, "How could you, Claire? You cheated on me." I mean, you can't. You move with your body because your face is covered up, and so like it was one day, I think it was like 115, 120. We were filming in June or July. Whew, it was
Oh
pretty toasty in those
man.
things. And another. I mean, there's so many little like snippets. I'm trying to think of some other ones. TV show I did on Disney Plus called Something Bit Me. This was really, really cool. I was playing a real life person that survived an alligator attack. So I get to the set, and we're in, it was Florida. It was September, and it was beautiful, West Palm area. And I spent just hours in this water. And this was lake water, so it was kind of brown like Coca-Cola. So it was really hard to see and stuff. And I am just getting like dragged because I'm fighting an alligator, right? And so they had like a stunt man like flipping me over, like I'm getting rolled and wrestling with this alligator, and like I'm getting dragged underwater. I'm like, getting pulled down by my arm and then coming back up and then pulled back down again and then getting dragged. It was just so wild where I always tell people, fantastic experience. I loved working on that set. But when anyone's like, "Oh man, how," because you're in a lot of just weird situations when you're doing different films or scenes, and they're like, "Are you comfortable?" I'll tell them that story, and they're like, "Look, man, I was dragged in a lake in South Florida. Any day that's not 12 hours in the water is a good day." So I can never complain, and I love that job too. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many crazy stories, and sometimes I won't even like think of it unless I'm rewatching something, and then I'm like, oh, whoa, whoa. Another one. Um, I did a TV show for CBS called Hidden Heroes. It was a children's television show, and it aired uh, about 10 years ago. Jeez. And when we were yeah, when we were doing it, the whole premise of the show was, they sold it to me like this. They were like, it's like punked, but it's positive. Like you're trying to get people to do positive things in the world. Um, and so we were pretending to bully this kid, and it's a hidden camera show, so we're getting real life people involved. And this one guy, man, he came over really mad at what we were doing, and he basically told us, they didn't air this part. He was like, "I'm gonna take you boys out back and teach you a lesson." And like he might have said a few colorful words that
Yeah, I
didn't
bet.
make it to the kids airing show. But it's just, there's so many funny things, and like we were like, this guy really gonna like beat us up? But no, there's so many stories, and every set is full of them. Um, the last one I was working on with Action Juice, I had this is funny. So we were working in a convenience store, and the director Jake, he goes, "Yeah, guys, so real quick, if you guys want anything in the store, just ring it up, grab a snack, whatever." So I'm thinking, okay, it's like July, August. I'm like, let me work smarter, not harder here. So I grab a Skittles fan. It's like a little novelty fan they have. It's like a little fan. You push the button and you kind of like cool off and stuff. And this became this huge, like, ongoing joke on the crew, because it was mostly me working. It was I was solo a lot of the days. There wasn't a lot of other actors in the film, and so I'm just there with my fan. And every time it would die, one of the crew members would like take it apart and like put a new battery in, and they even made a reel, like a compilation of me just like fanning myself off with this thing. And I had this little like $2 fan throughout the whole shoot, and it became this whole like inside joke, and I still have it. I'm probably gonna bring it to the premiere just to keep this joke going. But
That's
so
awesome.
many so many stories, man.
How does it
I love what I
feel?
do.
That's awesome, man. And I can see you do. How does it feel to bring back such an iconic uh character like the Power Ranger, the Black Power Ranger, and working with these other guys, bringing back the Power Rangers. I mean, the Power Rangers supposedly were done, and then all of a sudden you
Mhm.
guys come back and bring it back. And I like the way you guys did that. How they
Yeah,
came back. Well, the Power Rangers, we're
yeah,
not the Power Rangers, and then and they
mhm,
explain how you guys become the Power Rangers.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. But how does it feel to bring back such iconic characters?
It's a great question. It's really cool because this is a fan produced Power Ranger series, as is the audio one, and people love it so much. And there is a level, whether it's fan produced or not, there's a level of importance that you want to put on the role because people have an expectation of what they want to see. So that's why I studied the movements with it, and I wanted to make sure that because I do taekwondo, so I wanted to make sure that I brought some of that into it. I get to fight the Green Ranger in the next one. I saw some of the test footage. Oh man, I even get the power axe, so I got to fight him with this cool power axe. I have it in my room actually, but no, it's cool because it's challenging but rewarding at the same time because even if it's like just YouTube series or whatever, like people really like it. Like I've gotten so many great messages from people all around the world saying, "Man, I really like that. That was so cool. Can I get you to sign this Funko Pop for me?" I said, "You want me to sign that? Sure, I'll do it." And or like, "Hey, can you sign my helmet, my Power Ranger?" I'm like, "You want me to sign it? I mean, sure." Or like, "Can you send me an autograph?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool." But just the fact that it means something to somebody, even if it is fan produced, the fact that they get into it and they like it just makes my day, man. It really does. For both Power Rangers, the audio drama, which anyone listening wants to open it up and take a listen, it's on Spotify, it's on Podmatic, it's on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And Power Rangers Legacy, it's on YouTube. And Power Rangers Legacy Part 2, I just spoke to our director today, should be coming out soon. I would say within the next couple months. But to answer your question, long story short, it's challenging, but it's rewarding.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Last question, man. Is there anything else you want to share? Anything else that you want to bring up before we wrap up?
Yeah. So I guess in closing, obviously, my book "End of the Power Surge" is out. I'll send you the link to that. Going to be making 4 of those books altogether.
Really
Um,
nice,
obviously,
nice.
yeah. I want to make 4 of them, and anyone wants to follow my journey, you can find me on both Facebook or Instagram. Probably Instagram's easier for anybody out there. It's just going to be at Jimmy Ace Actor 17, or you can just type in Jimmy Ace Lewis. I'm sure I'm probably the only Jimmy Ace Lewis on there. Um, you can find me there. And anybody out there, man, if you're listening and you're like, I want a sense of purpose in my life, I want a sense of completion, I'd say, give God a chance. Seriously,
Amen.
seriously, give God a chance. Because I know what that's like to live where you feel like you don't have a purpose in life, where you feel like, where am I going? You feel lost. Just give God a chance, man. That's all I gotta say. And just love on people and whatever you want to find that you do in life, whether it's interviews, whether it's acting, whether it's whatever you do in life, just try to find something that makes you happy at the end of the day. And then you say, yeah, I'm loving this. So if you're out there, man, find something that you love. You've got a chance and just smile and love on people, man.
Am- Amen. Amen. Folks, I mean, you're gonna be able to find Jimmy. I'm gonna share his links. He's gonna send me any additional links that he would like me to share. Everything's gonna be on the YouTube description of this episode. Make sure you please like it, share it. Also, help me subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the channel. Uh, this season will eventually be ending. I got 4 more episodes coming up. I'm gonna be wrapping up, and We're gonna be starting season 2. We'll be doing season 2 and starting in February. Jimmy, thank you so much, brother. God bless you, man. My prayers will continue being with you, man. That's continued success. I'll be looking forward to more. You and I are gonna stay in touch. You guys,
Absolutely. Please do.
not only a fan, brother in Christ, but a friend. I'm here
Love
for
it,
you.
man. Love it.
You can count on me for whenever you want to talk about anything, man. Need prayer. We're brothers, man. All right.
I love it, man.
God bless you. Thank you for
Dude,
being
thank
on,
you.
man.
God bless you, brother. Thanks for having me, JC.
Yes, sir.